You're listening to the Happy Workaholic podcast. I'm your host, Kellyanne Gorman. This show was once about business, LinkedIn, and my life with an autoimmune disease. And then one day I found out I was misdiagnosed, so I had to switch things up a bit. Life is so short, and when you're given a second chance, you better believe I'm going to take it, celebrate it, and share it with you. I'm on a mission to help women take their business and life to that next level they deserve to be at. This show is intended to elevate your mind, upgrade your business, enhance your life, and become part of a positive and uplifting community. Inspiration, motivation, and determination are what got me to where I am today, and I cannot wait to share these amazing stories of other female entrepreneurs who will be featured on the show. If you have a story or brand you want to share, send me a message on Facebook and Instagram today. You can find me at The Happy Workaholic. I would love to connect with you. Do you want a live chat during this episode? Make sure you're listening on iHeartRadio. I'm here to remind you to work hard, stay humble, follow your dreams, and never, ever give up. Thanks for taking the time to subscribe to the Happy Workaholic podcast. And now let's get into today's show. Today's episode is brought to you by Your Podcast Production. Have you been wanting to launch your own podcast but not sure where to begin? Is time the only thing holding you back? Maybe you're already recording but need somebody to guide you through the production process. Do you have a message that needs to be heard? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then I have just the program for you. Your Podcast Production designs, coaches, produces, and aligns you and your brand to have a successful, enjoyable, and profitable podcast. After launching my own show, I had so many women reach out to me and ask me how I did it. So what did I do? I created something I wish existed. There are many ways to create and launch a podcast, and you want to make sure you do it right from the very beginning. I believe that keeping it simple, organized, and original is the most effective and efficient way to go. Are you ready to start the process? Are you ready to learn more? Visit yourpodcastproduction.com today. Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of the I Chose This Life series. Today I have my brand new best friend, Katie Alyse, on, and she is an intuitive astrologer. Katie, are you with us?
Hello.
I am so excited to have you on the show. I have been obsessed with reading my horoscope since I even knew that they existed. And you guys, just to preface this conversation, Katie and I were talking for a little bit before I started recording, and we have the same birthday. She has a podcast coming out, and she's just going to fill you in on all things astrology and so much more. Let's just dive in. Katie, you are also in San Diego, which I'm like, we were destined to meet.
I know, the synchronicity is just amazing.
I know, I'm so excited. So first things first, how and why did you get into this profession?
Oh, the $1 million question.
I know, right?
Yeah. Well, how can I nutshell this? Basically, I have been connected to spirit my entire life, and it's been this journey of really recognizing who I am. And as a child, I always knew I was here for this greater purpose. I mean, we all are, but I had this connection with friends where I was always like looking after them, wanting to take care of them, help them. I just knew that was such a big part of me. And so as I got older, I was a hairstylist. I started doing hair at 17. And so naturally that was the cause of, all of my work was making people look beautiful, but really it was deeper than that for me. It was making them feel good inside and out. And, anybody who gets their hair done, they know their hairstylist is their therapist. So that really started that journey for me. And I eventually became an educator for Paul Mitchell and the schools. So I was there for about 5 years. And that's when I really started to create this bond with other people to help coach them, because it's with Paul Mitchell schools, it is about learning about how to do hair, but really the culture is about just being a better person and living a more abundant and happier life. So that's where it kind of all evolved over the years. But as hairstylists, we're all kind of weirdos, and I was always doing readings on the side for clients or for my coworkers. As a kid, I was doing tarot online on like AOL and MSN chats.
Oh my God, dating ourselves.
Yeah.
AOL Instant Messenger.
I know. I always say that. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's how old. MSN and email chats, yeah. So that's the nutshell version, yeah. So in the last 3 years, I've really started to focus more on creating, having this be my main business. I left the hair industry completely over a year ago. So, yep, that's the nutshell version.
That is so amazing. Now, can you tell me, maybe you know or you don't know, but I've noticed over the last couple of years that a lot of hairstylists are shifting into this industry or providing both services like you do.
Yeah, that's how I started, because I had my own salon suite. And I was, oh my God, I was so nervous. It's so crazy looking back at everything. And I would put my iPad, I created this menu, and I had this little iPad up on my station talking about like, hey, incorporate Reiki into your hair service, but I never talked about it. And of course, my clients aren't gonna know if I'm not talking about it, you know. But I mean, my suite was called the Amethyst Room, so it was like crystals were everywhere, and my clients loved it. But I was such a scaredy cat, and it wasn't until I decided to, like, the last few weeks of having my suite, I moved into an office where I just like really started to, you know, do this full time. I started practicing Reiki on my clients after I got certified during the shampoo services, and that's when, yeah, they were like, "Oh my God, Katie, what are you doing?" This is amazing. But yeah, no, I'm noticing it. I was telling my roommate, I walked by down here in South Park. I got my brows done at this place, and there's a tattoo shop right next to it, and they had crystals for sale on their shelves. So I feel like the service industry as a whole is moving into that holistic, you know, self-care healing modality.
And I love that in San Diego, you can find crystals at any random store.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
I feel like the universe like pushes that to us when I'll be doing random errands and I'll come across the same thing. And I was like, I was meant to see these. And I haven't really invested in many crystals yet, but I want to. I know there's one store, I forget the name of it, but I know you'll know, in Encinitas, and it's actually a chain. It's right on the 101, and they have, it's all crystals. They have the bowls. They have the smudger, like everything. The store is huge. I'm not sure. I'll have to put the name in the show notes.
I was going to say Soulscape, but I don't.
No, it's right on the 101 in Encinitas, but they have one in Idlewild, and that's where one of my clients used to live. So I remember I sent it to her, and she said, "Of course I know what that is."
Oh, Lady of the Lake?
No. I'll put the name in the show notes, so if anybody local, and we can, you know, maybe have a field trip there. But it's so amazing. I mean, I was walking around the store collecting all the little business cards, the write-ups they have for every crystal.
Oh,
so I can start my collection. I'm like, I don't want to forget which one that I really need, because right now I'm just trying to like heal my body. So there's like specific ones that I'm learning about that can help me do that. So what do you think was your biggest inspiration in order to move forward with leaving hair and being a stylist? And like, what was your biggest motivator to do this full time? Did you just feel it, like you had that fire in your gut, or were you just like not feeling the hair and you just knew there was like a bigger picture for this opportunity for you?
Yeah, it was crazy because I was making crazy amount of money, like you wouldn't believe, you know? And so on paper it was like, oh yeah, Katie, like, I had been doing hair for almost 12 years at that time, and I had done it all, you know. I had worked in education, I had my own salon suite, I worked in TV, I did hair for photo shoots, like everything you could think of. And you kind of just get to this point where it's like, all right, I'm done, you know. I'm not feeling challenged anymore, and the industry was changing so much, and I didn't feel challenged. So, and my body, it was unbelievable how much it was breaking down on me every day. And I mean, I was working 5 days a week, 8+ hours, you know, killing it, loving it. And then slowly it just started to decrease to the point where I was working once every 2 weeks. And I literally would come home and it would take me almost 2 days to recuperate. So I knew that, like, for me, I speak about this a lot in my work, you know, when the body is diseased, you know, when you're sick or you're just not feeling well, you're dealing with anxiety, whatever that is, you know, the soul is not at ease. And so obviously I was just not happy. And Spirit was like, Katie, you're done. Like, it's time to move on. So really, yeah, it was a very spiritual process and evolution.
That's so crazy you said that, because being sick for a couple of years and then getting off of all these prescriptions and chemo, and now like I have all of these opportunities, especially here in San Diego. You know, I'm doing Reiki, I'm doing therapy, I'm investing more in like healing myself holistically, especially coming off all these meds. Months later, you have these crazy withdrawals, and I'm like, I can feel it now. Like random things I can feel. Where before, like for example, a couple weeks ago, I could smell this like overwhelming, I mean, this smells awful to begin with, but skunks. And then I was walking down the 101 in Encinitas shopping, and I could smell this flower. And I was like a dog, like sniffing for the flower. And I'm like, where is this flower coming from? Because I remember the smell. And I realized that I haven't been able to smell things like that strongly in so many years because I was on all these heavy meds.
Wow.
And now that I'm coming off of them, and my doctor said, you know, it's going to get worse before, because I stopped pretty much cold turkey 2.5 weeks instead of like the course of like a year, because they were so strong. But my thought process was just like, listen, it's either going to get out of my system now or it's going to stay in there for another year. So what's happening now is I'm feeling a lot of side effects like vertigo and all these crazy things, but I can actually feel them now, and I can smell things now. And it's so crazy when you actually like listen to your body and like feel the actual pain. Where years ago, I traveled for years all around the world as a professional makeup artist, and I was clearing customs every week. I was lugging around. I mean, you know, like when you're traveling doing hair, you have your whole entire kit, you have wheels, you have like all the stuff you need to set up. I was flying and getting on ships every week with these 75, 80-pound suitcases. One had my life, one had product so that I could do makeup everywhere. And when I finally stopped, I was like living the dream. And then when I finally stopped, I was so exhausted. I didn't even realize like what that pain felt like, or what, like how tired I really was, until then. I would do just one makeup and I was so tired. Oh, yeah. I'm like, gluing this lash is the heaviest process ever. So I could totally relate, but it's just so crazy how once you stop, then you really realize, and like you really start to feel like how truly exhausted you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy because you're just going. You don't realize it.
Yeah. So now that you are working for you were working for yourself before, but now that you have your new business, when do you work? Are you very strict with your schedule? Do you have a set schedule? Do you time block? Like how do you working online?
Well, that's something I learned definitely in the beginning, you know, because really when you're working from home, you're technically, you know, you're always on. Mm-hmm. And so that was a big learning curve for me in the beginning, especially when things started to grow like overnight. I was getting DMs, messages all night, and I had to learn how to set my boundaries. It took me, probably almost a year to really, because me naturally, I just want to, you know, serve and take care of people. Mm-hmm. And really in return, what that was doing was that was stunting my energy and my growth. And so now I've pretty much got it where, you know, I get up in the morning, I do my morning rituals, I pull my cards, I journal, you know, I focus on what the energy is of the day, gratitude, all of that. And then I'll make my post on Instagram. Sometimes I'll make a post in the morning, I'll do it at night, depending on what day it is. And then, depending if I have calls as well, you know, that comes into play. But usually I like to take breaks around like 11, 12, 1. Usually I'll go to the gym just so I can get out of the house, because there were days that, you know, I wouldn't even get out. So, and then it kind of just grounds me back down and I get refocused, and then I jump back in doing what I'm doing. And I try to finish my day. I do a lot of Instagram lives like around 5 or 6, and I'll usually finish my day around 7.
That's a great schedule.
Yeah, I like it.
Now, when you have time off, when you allow yourself or give yourself those few hours that we really need to do, since we both work from home, what are some of your favorite self-care routines? Are you down with the bubble baths? Do you like just journaling even more? What are some of your favorite things to do?
Well, it's funny because the last few months I've been traveling a lot, so I feel like I'm finally getting back into my routine. I'm finally getting settled. You know, just moved into my new apartment a month ago and getting back into my routine. Yes, I'm like so excited because I have a decent sized bathtub. So I definitely want to pick back up my bath routine as a Cancer rising. Oh my God, I need bath time. I love to work out. Like, that is my thing. That gets me refocused. That gets me like juiced up. Or just being outside in nature, like walking. So like today, I walked to Target to get some food, some groceries for the week. And during that walk, I'm just noticing my surroundings and focusing on what I'm so grateful for. It kind of brings me back down to earth, So just usually, like, I just like to be outside.
I love that. Are you talking about the new Target that just opened by you?
No, the one off Grape. No, not the new one.
Oh, wow. I saw that one the other day, and somebody had told me about it. I'm like, oh, that's the one they were talking about. Now, you mentioned travel. Can you tell us about your travel situation?
Yeah, so actually a year ago this month, just in a few days, it was the 15th, I hosted my first Salem spiritual retreat. So that was in Salem, Massachusetts.
I've been there. It's amazing. I'm originally from Rhode Island, so I've been there a couple times.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I hosted it was my first retreat. It sold out, and it was 15 women who came together. I did it again 6 months later. So that was in October, and that one sold out too. And I'm getting ready now for New Orleans, which is in October, and then the third Salem retreat, which will be in October as well. So I'm a Sag moon. I love to travel. I find so much value in that. What really inspired it was when I did my first solo travel to New York and Salem back in October of 2017. I'm like, God, when was that? Yeah, and I'd never been to New York or Salem. Some spirit came to me and was like, you got to go. So I went, and that just amped my energy up. And it's something that I wanted to do my entire 20s, and I never did it. I had, fears of anxiety, with flying or money, all of that. And so when I turned 30, I was like, enough is enough. I'm doing it. So within 2 months, I booked that trip, and it has changed my life ever since.
That is so amazing. Now, how are these women finding you? And you're selling these trips out, so clearly they're amazing. How is everybody finding you and hearing about them?
So my biggest following is on Instagram. And the people that came to Salem, those were all of my clients.
That's amazing.
Regular clients or local people who I've known who've become friends of mine. And then the second retreat was really interesting. 80% of those people found me by Googling spiritual retreat or witch retreat, which is like so crazy.
And you're not paying for Google ads?
No.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So that was really, really cool to find out. Now, this New Orleans retreat, the people who are interested, this has not sold out yet, but the people who are interested in this so far are people who I've met on my travel. So when I've gone to Salem, I've networked with other spiritual people out there. I've done workshops at their places. So it's like people like that. It's really just the true Gemini nature. I'm a master networker. So that's we seriously,
we have the same birthday. We have all the same traits. Like, can we be any more similar? We travel, like, oh my God.
Yep.
It's so amazing. What advice do you wish that somebody had given you before you began this new journey of yours, this new business?
This is a good one. Well, the first thing that comes to mind would be patient, but I would be so pissed off if somebody told me that.
Oh my God, I hate that. We have to learn how to have patience as Geminis, for sure.
Wow. That is the biggest challenge for me. I've gotten better as I gotten older, but yeah. No, I think the best thing would be someone to say, be kind to yourself. Because I am so hard. I texted my mom this morning, and I was just like, Mom, can you please do a special prayer for me? I'm really in my head right now, and it's so hard. Like I always say, it's such a blessing to be aware of the cosmos, but then it's also a curse too, because you're like, well, what the fuck? Like, why can't I get this together? Like this should be going well, And so sometimes we get too in our heads, and so I've kind of been like that lately. But I had a really great morning ritual this morning that kind of revved me up, and I know that there's something big right around the corner. I need to be patient, and I need to be kind on myself, because I'm always thinking, am I doing enough? And I feel like as entrepreneurs or people who work from home, we're always thinking that, and it's like just be a little softer on yourself, be more caring and nurturing to your mind.
That's such good advice. And I definitely I have zero patience, and I definitely have. I used to have zero, and it's kind of moving up a little bit, but that's definitely something that I've worked on really hard. But then I feel the same way when we're pulling a 12-hour day on our laptops working from home, and we still feel guilty that, like, we're not doing something that, like, just wait a minute, just finish each project and be like, you're okay. Like, we just put so much pressure on ourselves.
I know. I was just looking at my to-do. I was putting together my to-do list right before we started, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
You get one thing crossed off, and it's like, how is there another thing added on? Like, where did this come from?
Or when you're on a call with a client, and then you think of some new amazing idea, and then 10 more things get added.
Oh, yeah.
We need assistance if anybody listening is available.
And that's the biggest thing, too, I've been focusing on. I was talking to my girlfriend about it, and I was like, if I want to go as big as I want to go, I need help and I need support.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, that has always been a challenge in doing, because this is my baby. But even when I worked at Paul Mitchell, I was the cutting and color specialist. I would have class sizes of like 80 to 100 people at times. And they would send other like educators to come in and help. And I would say, get out, because I was like, you don't know, not to be like rude, but I was just like, this is my format. This is my baby, you know, like there's no way you're going to be able to like cultivate or create like what I'm doing. And so what I did myself is I would record myself doing like the cutting or things like that, and then have it up on the TV screen. So for me, it's like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I don't want anybody else's support, because it's like, if you do one thing different, it's going to drive me. I'm such a control freak, right? But I know if I need the support, if I want to be big like this, I need to have that help. So this is the biggest thing I'm asking the universe right now. It's like, how do I go about this? You know, what do I have them help me do? You know, so if anybody has tips on that, let me know.
I feel like that must be a Gemini thing. So when I was in Vegas, I had a luxury travel company, and I hired an entire team. And my thing is trust and also time. So you need to invest the time in training someone to help us, help you your way, right?
Right.
So that time that you're investing in training someone is where you need to be like growing. But obviously we need to stop, reevaluate, take the time to train, but at the same time, like make sure it's the way that you want, things aren't getting mixed up and there's no mistakes. Like, it's just definitely a control thing. And I've done that before, and I invested months in someone, and then they just decided it wasn't for them. And I'm like, after months? So now I'm like extra, and this is now I'm running a completely different business. And that was sales related and luxury travel, dealing with people face to face, like very different. Now my business is online. One little tech screw up can take an entire podcast down. So that's like a little problem. But yeah, I feel like when bringing people to our team, it's just such a process to, you know, evaluate skills, evaluate like mindset, and just, it takes a lot longer than any other position that, you know, say you were in a restaurant hiring a server. It's just so different. And then learning your way.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I actually just put it in my notes right now. I need to create a system, because when you're working, whether it's me doing this work or as a hairstylist, it's intuitive and it's creative. And so half the time shit's just coming to me from out of nowhere, you know?
Me too.
Right? So I think building a system, which is going to help me in the end too, you know, I think that's great. And then I can train whoever. Thank you for that.
Yeah, systems, you need to have like an operation guide, a system. I mean, I put this whole module together, and I was running a show, and then in 1 week I brought on 7 people.
Wow.
It was insane. And they were all in their own little department, and it was in Vegas. It was luxury travel, so it was a very different situation than what I'm doing now, like night and day. But still, to bring on different people, it's very time consuming, and it's time that we don't have. So I mean, we're kind of in the same position with our businesses right now, and it's just such a crazy feeling. So let's hope that we get, well, we will get, we have to put it into the universe, that they will come to us, our special little new hires.
Yay.
When do you think, or when was the moment that you can remember where you were like, this is why I chose this life? This is why I being a hairstylist, why I moved into this full time, and why I'm on my computer. Was it an email, something in your DMs on Instagram, a review online?
I first and foremost have to say that I have the most bitchin' awesome clients and followers. I'm so blessed. That is something that I just think about every single day, and they show me so much love, like it's unbelievable. So I feel that feeling every day. But I think the big thing that was just like, yes, was the sellout of my first Salem retreat. I was like, oh my God, because even when I first started doing hair at 18, I was like, one day I'm going to do what I love and I'm going to travel. And I thought for so long it was hair, which I got to do. I did get to travel a lot doing hair. But to do something that is like, I always say hair drove me to my purpose. It was the vehicle that drove me to what I do now. So I'm always forever grateful for it. But it's like what I'm doing now is so much my spiritual purpose, my soul purpose. Mm-hmm. And selling out that retreat, just wow. Like, I can't believe it's been a year since that, I actually did that retreat. And what's so crazy, we were talking about this on my podcast. So me and my friend Alexis, she started out as my client, and then she came to my retreat. And then she hosted a workshop during my last retreat as well. And so we built this energy together, and we were talking about the retreat on the last episode. And I was sharing how I was actually at one of my lowest points emotionally at that time. Because here I was, so I even took my mom on that trip. And me and my mom are super close. So I'm like, if any way I could explain this, it was like I was around the people that I loved the most, 15 women. And I felt so alone. And every single night when I went to bed, go to sleep, I would cry. And I thought, Katie, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, this is your dream come true right here. This is actually happening. And I thought, oh, maybe because, I planned this on the new moon, or maybe because I'm on my period. But really looking back at it, I was in a really dark place. I was the heaviest weight I've ever been. My relationship at the time was really bombing. It was ending. And I just felt lost. But I look back at that time now with so much gratitude and grace, because I guess really what that was confirming for me was my intuition, like I was right in everything that I was feeling and where I was going. So I think sometimes too, it's sometimes with spirituality, we think when everything needs to be great and happy and like rainbows and sparkles, but sometimes in your darkest moments, that's when you realize the most. So that retreat itself has given me greatness and sadness, but altogether, best part of my business so far.
Oh my God, that's so crazy. That happened to me literally like a month ago, because I've just gained, a lot of people lose weight during chemo, and I haven't had chemo in about a year. And just from like the anxiety and the depression, and like my trigger is food. So I'm like 80 pounds more than I was a couple years ago. And I told myself I need to be 5 minutes from the beach walking, which I was. Like, get your ass outside, eat your prepped meals that you spent all this time doing and putting on your Instagram stories, and just get your shit together. My business just exploded like the last couple of months, and I still have those nights, and I know that a lot of it is coming from just like withdrawing from like heavy meds. And at the same time, I'll have the best day ever, and then I go to bed crying. Why? Like, why do I feel like that? I should have been like so excited. Like, I'm getting all these reviews, and I've like the most amazing clients. They're referring me after, like, I get referral after referral. Like, same thing with you. And I'm just like, why am I so sad? Mm-hmm. Like, literally hysterically crying. Like, what is my problem? So I could totally relate. Now, is your mom in the same industry, or are you guys just super close?
Oh, we're just super close. She's my angel. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Now, I remember, speaking of amazing followers, I remember you posted something, was it last week or the week before? Somebody keeps copying your content. And that like makes me so pissed, because I know that you spend all these hours. So how do you deal with that? And is it the same person, or is it multiple people?
Yeah, it's the same person. It's somebody who started out as a client, and somebody who I took under my wing and nurtured and protected. And Yeah, so it's actually been almost an entire year. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and that goes back to me again being that Cancer rising. I want to protect people. I don't want to rock the boat, and especially when it's dealing with my business. This is my baby, and it it has been hard because it has keep being brought up every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a matter of like, wow, they're taking away from my business. It's not that. It's like I live, breathe, eat, sleep, dream, sweat, cry, all of this every single day. And to see it, I'm like, really?
Like, are you going to
This is
stop
so
yet? Or are you just...
personal. Yeah, it's like, no, this is personal. I know it is.
Yeah.
And it's just really frustrating, and so I'm like, you know what, I got to take this into my own hands. And there's like this longest time of me not wanting to put it out there, but I was like, you know what, I got to make it clear. I got to set my boundaries.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're not going to fuck with me. Like,
I'm glad that you did. And you do have such a faithful following, and they respect you, and I'm sure they all know who it is, I'm assuming, but...
No, nobody knows who it is, and nobody needs to know.
Oh, well, that's even better. But at least they are faithful to you.
Yeah.
They respect you. They respect your time. Now, I'm so curious about this meal I saw that you made. I'm not sure which moon, so you need to tell us that as well. But a couple weeks ago, you went and each ingredient was a different color to represent something. So can you explain this to us?
Mm-hmm. So that was the full moon in Libra, which was on March 20th. That was also the day of the spring equinox. So we were moving into the new astrological year. This, according to my chart, was exact my IC, which is the most private part of your chart, which is also representative of your home. And so at that point, I was finally like feeling settled into my new apartment. I was playing catch up with my finances a lot. So it's like, wow, a lot of people were being so kind and taking care of me and feeding me. So it was like, now this is my turn. I get to feed my people. So I made Japanese curry, which I grew up with because my aunt married a Japanese man. So my mom would make it for us. And if I'm cooking, I try to incorporate all of the chakra colors into my food. So,
that's what it was. Okay, chakra color.
Yeah, it was the chakras. Yeah, so it was just a nice, like, yes, healthy meal, but also spiritually as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I made sure that all the veggies color coordinated to the chakras. Now the crown chakra is because it is connected to the spiritual realm and it is outside of the body. That you work more a little bit with like herbs or essences. It's not necessarily food. But I made that for my girlfriend and my roommate, and they loved it. It made me happy, and it was a perfect full moon ritual. So yeah, I was stoked.
That's so amazing. And again, like I had, God, like everything you were saying, it's insane. I feel like I'm getting some kind of a reading, like as we're talking. Because last night I had on my list, I went grocery shopping at 9:30 last night. Like I had zero time. I'm like, if I don't go now and take a shower and shave, like those two things need to come off my list. Mm-hmm. So I went to the supermarket so late last night. And one of the things on my list, because I was getting all my veggies and I wanted to make a curry, and I was FaceTiming my best friend. I'm like, look at all these sauces. And then I turned them around and they had so much salt, and all I want lately. And honestly, I forgot that was a curry. I just remember the rainbow assortment of vegetables. And before we recorded, I was actually telling Katie about my client that I sent it to because she needed to go watch it. And, so I forgot that curry part, but last night I needed to have curry, and I didn't end up buying any of the sauces, and I really think it's best if I just make it homemade, like an actual sauce, because if I have any kind of sodium, I'm just like double my size, and it was just so intense with the ones that I found, just because there was only like a couple at the market. But then what you said with, on the 20th, I had like the same experiences. Is this just because we're Geminis?
It could be.
This is like blowing my mind.
Yeah, no, it could be. I mean, we are born on the same day.
I know, it's so crazy.
But I'd have to look at your chart too.
Yeah.
Because, see, I'm an esoteric astrologer, so I work off a little bit more of the ascendant versus the sun, which is more exoteric, which is more personality driven, which still like corresponds with like the synchronicities here for sure. But yeah, no, I mean, we have the same birthday, so.
I know, that's so crazy. This is like such an amazing conversation, and I definitely want to learn more from you for sure. Now, what are some of the projects that you're working on now?
Ooh, let me open my to-do list. Okay,
I know.
So actually tomorrow night, so Friday, which is the 12th, Alexis and I, we are doing our free live call for our workshop called Ode to Pluto. So we are focusing on Plutonian aspects within one's chart. So Pluto is the god of the underworld. So I always say it's like the taboo stuff nobody wants to talk about, which is sex, power, money, fears, doubts, all of that. And we're going to learn how to really embrace that side of us and how we can be more inspired and positive through that. So we're launching that. That's going to be a fourth week program starting next week, which I'm really, really excited. I love to do workshops with people because it's, like I said, I was an educator for 5 years. So education is such a strong part of my business. So that's coming up. And then I am launching the Salem retreat pretty soon, trying to get everybody booked for the New Orleans retreat. What else? I'm launching my ASTROCHELLA post. So this is something I did 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
Blew up my business. So I focused on the musicians who are performing at Coachella, and one of the artists was Kehlani, and she found me through that and blew me up. So that was one of the things that really accelerated my business. So I'm doing that again. And what else?
Are you going?
No,
okay.
I've never been.
Why do we need the traffic?
Yeah, it doesn't appeal to me. I'm not into festivals because I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to pee? How am I going to live? It's going to be hot.
Oh my God, I know. Tent life is not for me. Not even glamping. It's just not okay.
No, I love live shows, but like just one band, please. And not for $500. But anyway, yeah. And then Alexis and I are also recording our second episode for our podcast tomorrow as well. So we're just churning these things out.
I'm so excited. And you guys, everything that we're talking about, you need to check the show notes. It's all going to be there. And then what is the text messaging that you have available?
You read my mind. I was just going to say that. Yes. So that's been fun. I'm really, really enjoying that. So I schedule out morning texts that go out 6 a.m. California time to all my subscribers. And I'm leaving this price up for another week. So it's $7 if you subscribe for a month. And yeah, you just get morning text messages from me that are kind of giving you a forecast for the day astrologically and how you can work through that energy just basically be proactive and support yourself.
And I still need to do that because I emailed you last night. I'm like, oh my God, I need to do this. I hope I didn't miss out.
Yeah,
I've been
everyone's loving it. It's making my heart. I didn't realize how much I would love it. Like, I really, really like it.
I feel like, too, like, text messages, like, we know it's coming from you. Like, it's super personal and, like, from you, not, like, some big app that's just, like, here's your day.
Yeah, I like it. It makes my heart happy.
Oh, my God, I love it.
Gemini.
I know, right? And then where can everybody find you online?
So they can find me on Instagram, Witch and Co, and then on my website, www.witchandco.com. And, I post on Facebook every now and then, but I've found that it's not really my people.
You need to pay to play over there. Nothing's happening.
Yeah, it's just not my target audience. Twitter, I definitely have some people over there. That's where I'm kind of silly and campy. Mm-hmm. And you can find me on, that username is Witch Khalifa.
Oh my God, I love it.
You can find me there too.
I'll have all these links in the show notes. And then if somebody is interested in signing up in one of your retreats, is all of that information on your website?
Yep. They can go on my Instagram and go to the link, and then it'll show like everything that I'm featuring right now, and the New Orleans retreat link is on there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on my show. This was like, I am so excited. We're going to be best friends for life now. We have the same birthday. So much is going on. You guys have to follow her, Witch & Co. on Instagram. You're going to learn so much. This conversation alone has blown my mind. Aww. And I cannot wait to have you back on the show. And did you say the name of your podcast?
Yes, Confessions of the Cosmos.
Oh, yes, you did. Perfect. And I will put that in the notes because we're waiting on approval at this very moment, but it will be live by the time this show is. So everybody can go subscribe, rate, and review your brand new show, which will be amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on this episode. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you liked this episode, please share it with someone who you feel needs to hear this message. And don't forget to tag me at The Happy Workaholic on Facebook and Instagram so I can feature you on my stories. And if you have 2 minutes and listening on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, I would love it if you could leave me a review. Those messages mean so much to us podcasters, and they really help me create more of the content that you'll love. Want to continue today's conversation? It's simple. Head to Facebook and search for the Happy Workaholic Network Facebook group. Answer the questions and you're in. For more information on myself, coaching programs, weekly newsletter, and more, visit thehappyworkaholic.com. The Happy Workaholic Podcast is part of the iHeartRadio Podcast Network. Be sure to follow the Happy Workaholic Podcast on iHeartRadio or subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. I hope that your day continues to be happy, healthy, positive, and productive, and I'll talk to you again soon.